My roommate kept stealing my gourmet meals, so I made him a dish he'd never forget. My roommate, Leo, is a human raccoon. He survives on a diet of instant noodles, cereal, and whatever he can scavenge from the fridge that doesn't belong to him. I, on the other hand, love to cook. It's my therapy. I spend my weekends braising, baking, and simmering. My side of the fridge is a beautiful mosaic of neatly labeled containers. The problem was, my containers were constantly being pillaged. It started small. A scoop of my homemade mac and cheese, the last slice of my slow-risen focaccia. I'd ask him about it, and he'd give me that wide-eyed, innocent look. Dude, no way. Must have been you. You were probably half asleep and don't remember eating it. It escalated. Last month, I spent 6 hours making a perfect beef bourguignon. I came home from work the next day, dreaming of that rich, wine-soaked stew, only to find a third of it gone. The pot was just left on the stove, a dirty spoon next to it. When I confronted him, he actually had the audacity to say, "Wow, that's weird. I saw that was low this morning. You must have a big appetite." That was the last straw. The rage I felt was a pure, clarifying fire. I knew confrontation wouldn't work. Leo had the moral compass of a magpie. I had to speak to him in a language he would understand. The language of consequences. My plan was simple and diabolical. I knew his weakness, anything that looked spicy and exotic. He loved to brag about his high tolerance for heat. So, that Saturday, I decided to cook a very special batch of my famous Volcano Vindaloo. I went to a specialty store and bought 3 of the hottest peppers known to man, the Carolina Reaper, the Ghost Pepper, and the Dragon's Breath. Handling them required gloves and a mask. The fumes alone made my eyes water. I simmered them down into a thick, blood-red paste that smelled of pure, unadulterated pain. I then cooked a beautiful aromatic chicken vindaloo. The kitchen filled with the scent of toasted cumin, coriander, and turmeric. It looked incredible. I filled 2 containers. The first was my regular, deliciously spicy portion. I labeled it Alex's Dinner Mild. The second container was the masterpiece. I stirred in the entire demonic pepper paste. The curry turned a shade of red so deep it was almost black. The smell of malice was so strong I had to open a window. I carefully placed the most succulent pieces of chicken on top. It looked like the most tempting vindaloo you'd ever seen. I labeled this one, Alex's Lunch, Super Spicy, Do Not Touch. I knew to Leo this was not a warning. It was a challenge. I placed both containers in the fridge, the super spicy one right at the front, and went out to see a movie. I came home 3 hours later to a scene of utter chaos. The vindaloo container was open on the counter, half empty. A single grain of rice was stuck to the ceiling. But the main event was the sound coming from the bathroom. It was a guttural, choked symphony of suffering. A series of desperate coughs, frantic gulps of water from the tap, and a low, continuous moan like a dying wildebeest. The bathroom door flew open and Leo staggered out. His face was blotchy, crimson, and drenched in sweat. His eyes were swollen shut, tears streaming down his face. He was hiccuping and panting, and he had a milk carton clutched in his hand like a holy relic. He didn't look at me. He couldn't. He stumbled to his room and slammed the door. I didn't see him again until the next afternoon. He looked pale, humbled, and deeply traumatized. He never said a word about the vindaloo. And he has never, ever touched my food again. Sometimes when he sees me take a container out of the fridge, I see a flicker of fear in his eyes. And my leftovers have never been safer.